Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
One day I moved to the big city for my dream job at a tech startup. Fresh out of college, I was excited but nervous about this new chapter in my life. The job was great, but the rent in the city was insane. And that's when I decided to look for a roommate to split the costs. I put up an ad online and got a response from someone who seemed perfect. He had a steady job, liked the same TV shows as me, and even had a cute cat. We met up for coffee and hit it off right away. I thought I'd struck gold. The first few weeks were okay. We'd chat in the evening, sometimes order takeout together. But then things started to change. It began with small things. She'd leave her dirty dishes in the sink for days. At first, I'd just wash them myself, thinking maybe she was having a busy week at work. But it didn't stop there. Soon I'd find her clothes scattered all over the living room. Her cat's litter box would go uncleaned for days, stinking up the whole apartment. And don't even get me started on the bathroom. It was like living with a tornado. I tried talking to her about it, but that's when I discovered her true colors. Hey, can we talk about keeping the common areas clean? What do you mean? That place looks fine to me. Well, there are dishes piling up in the sink, and your clothes are all over the couch. Oh my god, are you seriously complaining about a few clothes? I work hard all day. I don't have time to be a neat freak like you. She stormed off, slamming her bedroom door. I was stunned. All I'd asked for was basic cleanliness. Things only got worse from there. She started using my stuff without asking. My favorite mug disappeared for days only to turn up unwashed in her room. My expensive shampoo would mysteriously empty faster than I could use it. The final straw came when I found her wearing my brand new sweater, the one I've been saving for a special occasion. Is that my sweater? Oh, this old thing? I found it in the laundry room. I thought it was mine. It still has the tags on it. I bought it last week. Well, it looks better on me anyway. You should thank me for making it look good. I was fuming, but I bit my tongue. I'd always tried to be the bigger person, keep the peace. But inside, I was reaching my breaking point. The next week, she threw a fit because I'd moved her shoes from the middle of the hallway where I'd nearly tripped over them. How dare you touch my things? Those are expensive designer shoes. They were in the way. I could have broken my neck. You're just jealous because you can't afford nice things. Stay away from my stuff. That was it. I'd had enough. I remembered reading somewhere that super glue works well on locks and metal. A plan started forming in my head. I knew she was going on a trip soon. The night before her flight, I waited until she was asleep. Then I crept out and put a few drops of super glue on her suitcase's zipper and lock. For good measure, I did the same to the lock on her bedroom door. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of her cursing and banging. What the hell is wrong with this stupid suitcase? I pretended to be concerned, watching as she struggled with the zipper. Oh no, that's terrible. Maybe it's just stuck? It's not stuck. It won't budge at all. This is a disaster. I'm going to miss my flight. She ended up having to take a bunch of plastic bags instead of her suitcase. I felt a twinge of guilt, but then I remembered all the months of hell she put me through. When she came back from her trip, there was more drama waiting. Her bedroom door wouldn't unlock. The key isn't working. Did you do something to my door? Me? Why would I do anything to your door? She had to call a locksmith who charged her a fortune to fix it. I knew the landlord would make her pay for the damaged lock when we moved out too. As I watched her fume and rage, a small part of me felt bad, but a bigger part felt satisfied. For months, she'd made my life miserable. Now she was getting a taste of her own medicine. I'm not proud of what I did, but I don't regret it either. Sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, even if it means stooping to their level for a moment. The best part? She never suspected a thing. She just thought she had a string of bad luck. And me, I started looking for a new place to live, counting down the days until I could leave this nightmare behind. As I packed my things, she was still struggling with various broken things around the apartment. Her laptop's charging port had mysteriously stopped working, and her favorite shoes seemed to be permanently stuck to the door of her closet. Was it pity? Maybe, but as I walked out of that door for the last time, leaving her to deal with the mess she created, I felt like I'd finally won. Let me tell you, it felt good. I was born with a rare condition that affected my legs. The doctor said I'd never walk, but my parents refused to let that define me. They encouraged me to pursue my passions no matter what. And boy, did I have a passion. Superheroes. From a young age, I was captivated by their strength, courage, and unwavering commitment to justice. My favorite was Spider-Man. There was something about his wit, his intelligence, and the way he used his powers that resonated with me. I'd spend hours imagining myself swinging through the city, saving people and making a difference. As I grew older, my love for superheroes only intensified. I started reading comics, watching every superhero movie I could get my hands on, and even writing my own stories. My parents supported my interests wholeheartedly. They'd often joked that my wheelchair was my own personal Batmobile. When I turned 16, my dad, who's a police officer, surprised me with the most amazing gift: a custom made Spider Man costume designed to fit perfectly over my wheelchair. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. The suit was detailed, comfortable, and made me feel like I could take on a world. I started wearing it to comic conventions, children's hospitals, and charity events. The joy on the kids' faces when they saw me roll in, decked out in full Spidey gear, was indescribable. I felt like I was making a real difference, showing people that disabilities don't have to hold you back from being a hero. That brings us to last Saturday. There was a big community fair in the park, and I decided to go in my Spider Man costume. My dad was on duty that day but promised to stop by if he could. As I rolled through the fair, kids were pointing and waving, some even asked for pictures. I was having a blast. Then I heard a shrill voice behind me. "Excuse me, what do you think you're doing?" I turned my wheelchair around to see a woman glaring at me. Her face was red and she looked furious. "I'm sorry, is something wrong?" "Yes, something is very wrong. You're parading around in that ridiculous costume, sending the completely wrong message to these children." I was confused. People usually loved my costume. I'm not sure I understand. The kids seem to be enjoying it. That's exactly the problem. You're making these able-bodied children think that someone in a wheelchair can be a superhero. It's false advertising. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My heart started racing and I felt a lump forming in my throat. "Ma'am, anyone can be a hero. It's not about physical abilities, it's about..." She cut me off before I could finish. "Nonsense. Heroes are strong, powerful, and able to save people. You're just confusing these poor children and giving them unrealistic expectations. Take back costume off right now. My baby boy is better off with it." I was shocked. I encountered some negativity before, but never anything like this. "I'm sorry, but I won't do this. This costume means a lot to me, and I'm not hurting anyone by wearing it. You're hurting society. You're making a mockery of real heroes." By this point, a small crowd had gathered around us. I could see parents pulling their children close, whispering to them. Some looked concerned, others angry at her, not me. "Ma'am, I think you're overreacting. Maybe we could..." But she wasn't listening anymore. Her face contorted with rage, and before I knew it, she lunged forward and kicked my wheelchair with all her might. The world spun around me as I felt myself falling. I hit the ground hard, the impact knocking the wind out of me. For a moment, everything was a blur of pain and confusion. As I lay there struggling to catch my breath, I heard gasps and shouts from the crowd. Someone rushed to my side, a kind stranger who helped me sit up. "Are you okay? Don't move too much, we'll get help." I nodded, still too stunned to speak, and that's when I heard my dad's voice cutting through the chaos. "What's going on here? Make way, police." He pushed through the crowd, his face changing from concern to shock when he saw me on the ground. "Sweetheart, what happened?" Before I could answer, several voices from the crowd spoke up, all pointing at the woman who had kicked me. My dad's expression hardened as he turned to face her. "Ma'am, did you assault this young person?" "I didn't assault anyone. I was trying to teach a lesson about appropriate behavior and realistic expectations." My dad's voice was calm but stern. "Ma'am, pushing someone out of their wheelchair is assault, regardless of your intentions. You're under arrest." As my dad read her rights and cuffed her, I could see the realization dawning on her face. The crowd around us murmured, some people clapping, others shaking their heads in disbelief. While another officer took the woman away, my dad helped me back into my wheelchair. He checked me over for injuries, concerned and angry. "Are you okay, sweetie? Do we need to go to the hospital?" I shook my head, finding my voice at last. I'm okay, Dad. Just a bit shaken up. He hugged me tight and turned to me with a proud smile. You know, I think it's time we upgrade your costume. How do you feel about adding some cool gadgets to your chair? Maybe some whip shooters? I laughed, feeling the last of the tension leaving my body. That sounds amazing, Dad. But you know what? I think I'm already pretty super just the way I am. You sure are, kiddo. You sure are. As we left the park, I realized something important. That woman's actions, as hurtful as they were, had only served to prove my point. Being a hero isn't about physical strength or the ability to leap tall buildings. It's about never letting adversity keeping you down. And in that sense, I was more of a superhero than ever before. I was always a quiet kid, keeping to myself and trying to avoid trouble. My parents weren't rich, but they made sure we had what we needed. Only the little treats I loved was this special sherbet candy that came in fruit-shaped plastic containers. Orange was my favorite. It tasted just like a fizzy orange soda. Every day at break time, I'd look forward to enjoying my sherbet. But there was this one boy in my class who always ruined it. He was bigger than me and acted like he owned the playground. Hey you, give me some of that candy. But it's mine. I don't want to share. I don't care. Give it to me or I'll punch you. This went on for weeks. I tried to hide or run away, but he always found me. It got so bad that I started dreading break time instead of enjoying it. Then one Christmas, something unexpected happened. My brothers and I each got a Snoopy shaped soup. It was too cool to use, so I just kept it on my dresser. But one day as I was looking at it, I had an idea. I took the soup and carefully grated some of it into one of my empty orange sherbet containers. It looked just like the real thing. The next day at school, I was nervous, but excited. As usual, the bully found me during break. There you are. Hand over the candy. Okay, just have a little bit, alright? I watched as he grabbed the container and poured almost all of it into his mouth. For a second, he looked so smug. Then his face changed. His eyes went wide and he started spitting and gagging. Without a word, he ran off towards the water fountain. I felt pretty good about myself, but things got complicated quickly. By lunchtime, everyone was talking about it. I heard one classmate says, "Did you really poison him?" What? No. It was just soup. Soup? That's hilarious. But not everyone thought it was funny. At the end of lunch, I was called to the headmaster's office. Now you have to understand our headmaster was a scary man. He never smiled and always looked like he was about to yell at someone. What's this I hear about you poisoning a student? I didn't poison anyone, sir. He keeps stealing my candy, so I put soup in the container instead. As I explained what happened, I noticed something strange. The headmaster's mouth kept twitching, like he was trying not to smile. I'd never seen him like this before. I see. Well, don't do it again. You may go. He practically pushed me out of his office. I was confused but relieved. As I closed the door, I could have sworn I heard a muffled laugh. The best part? That boy never bothered me for my candy again. I guess he learned his lesson about taking things that don't belong to him. Looking back, I realized it was a bit mean to trick him like that. But when you're a kid being bullied, sometimes you do desperate things. I'm just glad it worked out and nobody got hurt. Well, except for his taste buds maybe. After that day, things changed at school. The bully kept his distance and I could finally enjoy my break time in peace. Other kids who had been bothered by him started talking to me more, and I made some new friends. The headmaster never mentioned the incident again, but sometimes when he passed me in the hallway, I could swear I saw a tiny smile on his face. It was like we shared a secret joke. As for the bully, he seemed to have learned his lesson. I saw him a few times eyeing other kids' snacks, but he never tried to take them. Maybe having your mouth washed out with soap really does work. I've been working as a chef at a local bistro for the past 5 years, and let me tell you, I've seen my fair share of entitled customers. And nothing could have prepared me for what happened on my girlfriend's birthday last month. My girlfriend and I have been dating for about 2 years, and I wanted to make her birthday extra special. She'd been talking about this fancy fondue place downtown for weeks, so I decided to surprise her with a dinner there. I invited a few of her close friends to join us, making it a proper celebration. Now, this fondue place isn't your average restaurant. It's one of those trendy spots that everyone's been raving about on social media. Getting a reservation is like winning the lottery. So, We knew we'd have to wait. But hey, good things come to those who wait, right? On the big day, we all met up outside the restaurant, and as expected, there was already a crowd of people waiting. I counted at least 15 to 20 folks milling around. We put our names on a list and settled in for what we knew would be a bit of a wait. The atmosphere was actually pretty nice. There were a couple of outdoor tables where some lucky diners were enjoying their meals. We stood around chatting and laughing, enjoying each other's company. My girlfriend was beaming, clearly excited about the prospect of finally trying this place she'd been dreaming about. After about 20 minutes, one of the outdoor tables cleared out. The group that had been sitting there got up, paid their bill, and left. The table was now empty, with used plates and silverware still scattered across it. That's when Mr. Entitled and his girlfriend showed up. This one strolls up to the restaurant, takes one look at the situation, a crowd of people waiting, an empty table with dirty dishes, and decides he's got it all figured out. Without a word to anyone, he marches right up to the empty table and plops himself down. A smug grin plastered across his face. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This dude really thought he'd outsmarted everyone by claiming an obviously dirty table. The rest of us waiting just stared at him in disbelief. I could feel the tension in the air as people started giving him dirty looks. His girlfriend, bless her heart, seemed to have a better grasp on social etiquette. She started whispering to him urgently. "We can't just sit here. There is a waiting list. We need to put our names down like everyone else." Mr. Entitled tells her, "Nah, that's not how it works. I claimed this table first. If we move now, someone else will take it. But look at all these people waiting. This isn't right. They should have thought of it first. I'm not giving up this spot." His girlfriend looked mortified. She kept looking around, clearly aware of the daggers being glared in their direction. But Mr. Entitled, he just pulled out his phone and started scrolling, completely oblivious to the world around him. The rest of us waiting were getting pretty annoyed at this point. I could hear people muttering under their breath. Person in line, "Can you believe this guy? Yeah, who does he think he is?" My girlfriend squeezed my hand, probably sensing that I was getting irritated. As a restaurant worker myself, I have a low tolerance for this kind of entitled behavior. Just when I thought I might have to say something, a waitress came out to clean the table. Her eyes widened when she saw Mr. Entitled sitting there. "Excuse me, sir, but you can't sit here. We have a long waiting list. Didn't you see all these people waiting?" Mr. Entitled looked up from his phone, seemingly surprised that someone was addressing him. He opened his mouth to argue, but before he could say anything, a few people in the line started laughing and making comments. Someone says, "Busted." Another says, "Not so clever now, huh?" The guy's face turned bright red. He stood up slowly, trying to maintain some semblance of dignity, but his girlfriend wasn't having it. "That's it, we're leaving. I can't believe you embarrassed me like this." She grabbed his arm and practically dragged him away from the restaurant. As they left, I could hear her berating him. "I told you we couldn't just sit down. Now everyone thinks we're jerks. I was just trying to get us a table. By being rude and entitled? Great job." Their voices faded as they disappeared down the street. The rest of us waiting shared a collective sigh of relief, along with a few chuckles at the guy's expense. The waitress, who had watched the whole scene unfold, shook her head as she started cleaning the table. "I swear, some people have no shame. Sorry about that, folks. We'll have a table ready for the next group soon." We all nodded in understanding. Working in the service industry, I've dealt with my fair share of difficult customers, but this guy took the cake. It amazed me how someone could be so oblivious to social norms and so willing to inconvenience others for their own benefit. The rest of our wait passed without incident. When we finally got our table, the fondue was absolutely delicious, made even sweeter by the knowledge that we'd earned it by waiting our turn like civilized people. As we enjoyed our meal, my girlfriend leaned over and whispered to me, "Thanks for not making a scene earlier. I know how much that kind of behavior bothers you." I smiled and squeezed her hand. "No need to thank me. I wasn't about to let some entitled jerk ruin your birthday dinner." We clinked our glasses together and laughed, the earlier incident becoming just another story to tell. And let me tell you, it's a story I've told many times since then, always ending with the same message. A little patience and respect for others goes a long way.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.